Welcome to my channel, The World Coin. Today videos is one you won't to miss. We're diving into the world of coins, top $1 United States of America. So, let's get it. From 1801 to 1809, during the presidency of Thomas Jefferson, the United States, $1 coin, known as the draped bust silver dollar, stood as a compelling embodiment of the young American Republic's economic hopes, technical achievements, symbolic aspirations, and the complexities that marked its early monetary system. This period, foundational in the history of American numismatics, was one of both refinement and withdrawal, as the mint's production of the silver dollar dwindled and then ceased altogether by 1804, although the final date struck for circulation was 1803, making the coins minted during Jefferson's time in office relatively scarce and increasingly significant to collectors and historians alike. The $1 coin, a large silver piece with a diameter of approximately 39 to 40 millimeters and a weight of 416 grains, about 26.96 grams, contained a silver content of 89924 fine, alloyed with copper, and its design was one of the most elegant of the early federal issues. The obverse featured the neoclassical bust of Liberty, believed by many to be based on Anne Willing Bingham, a Philadelphia socialite who inspired artist Gilbert Stuart's portrait. Although the true model remains unconfirmed. Liberty faces right, her hair flowing loosely and tied with a ribbon, symbolizing both freedom and virtue in classical form, surrounded by the word liberty at the top and encircled by 13 to 15 stars, depending on die variety, representing the original states of the Union. The date appears prominently below. The reverse featured the powerful heraldic eagle design, adapted from the Great Seal of the United States, showing an eagle with wings spread wide, a shield over its breast, an olive branch in one talon, and a bundle of arrows in the other, and above the eagle's head, a constellation of stars breaking through a field of clouds, with the entire scene ringed by the words, United States of America. Interestingly, there was no denomination marked on the coin, a feature typical of early American silver coinage, as it was understood that the coin's size and weight reflected its value. This absence of a numerical denomination, combined with the classical imagery, signaled not only a deep trust in symbolism, but also a desire to align American currency with Enlightenment ideals and the neoclassical aesthetics of the age. Yet despite the coin's beauty and the importance of a national silver dollar, its actual production and circulation during Jefferson's presidency were limited and fraught with economic and logistical complications. While mintages for the silver dollar were healthy in 1801, 454 coins, they declined sharply in 1802, 650, and 1803, 85,634. Though records and die analysis suggest that some 1802 and 1803 dollars may have been struck using older or reused dies. These relatively small numbers, combined with the lack of production after 1803, make these coins rare and valuable today. One of the principal reasons for the discontinuation of the $1 coin was the issue of specie exportation. Silver dollars were often shipped to China and other parts of Asia, where they commanded a higher intrinsic value, especially in the tea trade, and merchants could profit simply by exporting them for bullion or melting them down. Because the U.S. silver dollar was close in size and silver content to the popular Spanish 8 reals, also known as the piece of 8, which circulated extensively in the Americas and Asia, it was accepted abroad. But ironically, this led to its rapid disappearance from domestic use. As the silver dollar left the country in great numbers, the U.S. Mint, facing limited silver supplies and pressure to produce more practical denominations for everyday commerce, made the decision to halt production. This decision was not formalized by Congress, but rather enacted as a matter of mint policy. The scarcity of bullion, limited distribution systems, and the impracticality of using large silver coins in a still largely agrarian economy made the dollar an inefficient denomination. At the time, especially in comparison to smaller silver and copper coins, like the dime, half-dime, cent, and half-cent, which were more useful in daily transactions for most Americans. Jefferson's influence on this transition cannot be overstated. Though he was not directly involved in the day-to-day operations of the U.S. Mint, his philosophies deeply shaped federal monetary policy. Jefferson had long been a proponent of hard currency and a decentralized economy, favoring a system based on coin rather than bank-issued paper notes. He had personally worked with Alexander Hamilton and Robert Morris in the early stages of American finance. And while Jefferson distrusted centralized financial power, particularly the First Bank of the United States, he believed in the necessity of a coinage system rooted in intrinsic value. As Secretary of State under George Washington, he had supported the Coinage Act of 1792, which established the U.S. Mint and defined the dollar based on a specific weight in silver, thereby anchoring the national economy in tangible metal. During his presidency, 1801–1809, Jefferson sought to encourage the production of smaller coins that could serve the everyday needs of American citizens, particularly farmers and tradesmen, rather than large silver dollars that were used primarily in international trade. His ideal was an agrarian republic composed of self-sufficient citizens, and his monetary philosophy aligned with that vision. Jefferson's administration also saw the Louisiana Purchase in 1803, which nearly doubled the size of the United States and increased the need for coinage. But again, it was the smaller denominations, more practical for frontier life, that received priority. Furthermore, the lack of a formal national banking structure after Jefferson allowed the First Bank of the United States charter to expire in 1811, a process that began under his watch, contributed to the challenges in managing currency supply and distribution, making centralized coinage of large denominations like the silver dollar even more impractical. The draped bust silver dollar, while fading from circulation during Jefferson's years, gained a second life in the numismatic imagination thanks to the famous 1804 dollar, often called the King of American Coins. Contrary to what the date might suggest, no dollars were struck with the 1804 date during Jefferson's presidency. Instead, they were produced in the 1830s under President Andrew Jackson, when the U.S. Department of State requested special coin sets to be presented as diplomatic gifts to Asian and Middle Eastern leaders. Because mint records incorrectly stated that the last silver dollars were struck in 1804, that date was used on the newly created dies, even though the coins were technically restrikes. Only 15 known examples of the 1804 dollar exist in 3 distinct classes, I, II, and III, and these coins are among the most sought after and valuable in the world, fetching millions at auction. Though they post-date Jefferson, they are part of the legacy of the early dollar and underscore the coin's symbolic weight far beyond its monetary value. Even as the $1 coin disappeared from production during Jefferson's presidency, its design, especially the graceful liberty and powerful eagle, continued to influence American coinage aesthetics for decades. The move away from the draped bust design came in 1807 for smaller denominations, as the mint adopted the capped bust motif designed by John Reich. Though the silver dollar would not return to active circulation until 1840, with the seeded Liberty dollar, the draped bust dollars minted during Jefferson's presidency represent a key link between the revolutionary ideals of the 18th century and the expanding democratic vision of the early 19th century. They were struck during a time when the country was consolidating independence, asserting its sovereignty through institutions, and crafting a financial identity that combined classical ideals with pragmatic governance. Today, the coins from 1801 to 1803, the only silver dollars dated during Jefferson's administration, are treasured for their rarity, condition, and historical context. In lower grades, they may sell for thousands of dollars. In higher mint, state conditions, or with rare die varieties, they can exceed 6 figures at auction. Each surviving coin is not merely a collector's item, but a tangible artifact of early American ambition, representing Jeffersonian ideals, economic experimentation, and the mint's evolving relationship with global trade and domestic commerce. In total, the story of the $1 coin from 1801 to 1809 under President Thomas Jefferson is a microcosm of early American financial policy, beautiful, idealistic, yet often challenged by the realities of a fledgling economy. Its limited production, elegant design, vulnerability to exportation, and symbolic power make it a numismatic masterpiece and a political statement rolled into one. These coins, now rare and revered, were forged during a presidency defined by exploration, the Lewis and Clark expedition, expansion, the Louisiana Purchase, and economic independence, all values reflected subtly yet powerfully in the national coinage. The draped bust silver dollar, especially those dated 1801, 1802, and 1803, remains a silent but eloquent witness to a formative time when the United States was still defining not only its borders and laws, but also the very money that would shape its future. Please like, share, and comment on this video, and make sure to subscribe my channel.